Happy Football Friday to all who celebrate. Week 3 is here, and we have a main event of Eagles-Rams coming up in just a couple of days. Not only is it a battle of 2-0 NFC teams, it is a rematch of one of the all-time great Eagles playoff games and one of the all-time great moments in Lincoln Financial Field history. Saquon in the snow. I don't know if anything will ever beat that. And as I was saying yesterday, Tyler and I were discussing this Eagles-Rams game. This feels to me as big of a game as you can have in September. Two NFC teams, both slated for the playoffs, both 2-0. And if I had to put money on the NFC West right now, I would put it on the Rams, so there's ramifications. There you go. There's ramifications for playoff seeding, tiebreakers, all of that. And while, yes, last year started 2-2, they go on to win the Super Bowl, there's no Week 5 bye this year. There's no time to kind of reset there was last season. And so with them having to go to Tampa next week, listen, I'm a homer. I'm usually going to pick the Eagles, but unless I see something extraordinary, I'm going to have to go with the Bucs because they have owned Sirianni and the Eagles over the last few years. So I am going to put a lot of weight into this one, and I am expecting Jalen Hurts and company to step up to the moment because they always do. Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to Philadelphia. We are live in the Xfinity Lounge. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the afternoon. My producer today, the original PHLY Flyers producer. We have Bree in the house with us. Looking forward to getting some Eagles predictions and some other fun stuff in today. But we got to hit some headlines. First and foremost, Phil's starting Arizona tonight, and I know I've been really harping on being the hot team going into the playoffs. I've liked the way the Phils have played ball lately. That third game in LA, that was a predictable loss. That was always going to happen. The Dodgers needed it. Getaway day this year has kind of really been getaway day for the Phils when they win the first two. But now going in to play the D-backs, while I still would love for this team to pick it right back up and bounce back after a 5-0 loss in which they had 3 hits and 6 base runners all game, you know how much I hate the Mets. The Diamondbacks only 2 games back of the Mets in the wild card. So really this is a no bad outcomes in terms of on-the-field play for the Phils this week. I am looking forward to a weekend of, hey, if the Phils lose, that hurts the Mets. And if the Phils win, great. We're still playing good ball against a team trying to get into the playoffs. It's just one of those things. You know, we're going to focus on football. It's Football Friday, but I think this is a stress-free weekend. Now, injuries, things like that, they can pop up, and obviously they add stress. But in terms of the hunt for Red October, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good no matter what happens this weekend, because worst case scenario, D-backs can catch the Mets. All right, I saw a headline. Clayton Kershaw has announced he's going to retire at the conclusion of the Dodgers season, whenever that is. And yeah, it's one thing when you're growing up and the players you grew up with start to retire. You know, you see Dawkins retire, you see Kurt Schilling, Randy Johnson, like that group of guys who you watched as a kid, Ken Griffey Jr., but now that it's dudes, and Kershaw's old as hell, he's a few years older than me, but now that like it's dudes who were coming up and really coming into their own in my college and early adulthood years, man, that is a face your own mortality thing. I turned 37 in 6 days. But in my head, I'm somewhere between like a junior in high school and maybe 23. So this is one of those little reminders like, nah, man, those 2009 playoffs they were a long time ago. Just, man, baseball without Kershaw, that feels weird. And it's also, gotta remember to stretch in the morning, do things like that. Clayton Kershaw retiring, just a little reminder. And finally, after Thursday Night Football last night, boy, do the Dolphins suck. They lose by 10, and we're talking Oh, was that a moral victory for Miami as they fall to 0-3 with 2 division losses? We're going to talk a little bit more about them later in social studies, but the Dolphins missed the playoffs last year. They're sub 500. They haven't won a playoff game under McDaniel, and it just seems to be getting worse. The league seems to have caught up to whatever they were doing offensively, and their defense freaking sucks. But we're going to talk about what might happen with McDaniel in a little bit. But right now, I got to talk about the big deal presented by Cherry Hill Kia because we have even more tush push discourse. Saw a story on ESPN this morning that the NFL has told officials, you got to keep an eye out for those false starts. You got to make sure you're legislating this play correctly. I am just... It's great. Honestly, we're going a long way to my goal of the Eagles becoming a hated bad guy franchise and just the worst heel dynasty we've ever seen. I want the Eagles to be despised by the rest of the nation and the sports world at large. And the fact that NFL officiating is as bad as it is on a daily and weekly basis, but it's this one single play that's making the league take notice that, you guys might be messing up. Like, okay, maybe the Eagles are false starting. There's also, like, you can see right in this picture, the Chiefs are lined up over Grant Calcaterra. Like if Calcaterra lifts his head, he will bang heads with whoever this linebacker is. Like, I don't know, man. I just find it so freaking comical, Bree, that... Oh, yeah, like calls get missed every single week. There's offsides. Roughing the passer is kind of make it up as you go. Holding is whatever we say it is, whenever we say it is. But this one play, the tush push, we got to fix this.
In the words of Brandon Graham, he literally said on his podcast, if everybody could do it, it wouldn't be a problem. And it's not even just like a point of bias at this point. It's just, I'm over it. Like, I'm over talking about it. I'm over hearing about it. Just play the game. It's a play at the end of the day. I mean, come on.
It's gotten so far out of hand. It is. I feel as if this is the only thing that has been talked about so far through the first 2 weeks of NFL football. And listen, I'm just as guilty of it as anybody. But like, this is a Philly-centric show. But we're gonna get to. We might bring up Joe Buck a little earlier. What the hell was he on? Like Good Morning America, and they're talking whatever it looked like. They're talking. Oh well, we got to talk about the tush push. Like, I don't know. The Philadelphia Eagles never lose. Maybe we should talk about that. They've won 18 out of 19. That's a pretty good run.
The league is just obsessed with us. I don't know.
It really is, to the point, and it's really, I'm hoping this is what pushes everybody over the edge, and there's no more, well, you're taking on the Chiefs, and we're all so tired of the Swifties, and we're so tired of Mahomes. Oh, you're taking on the Patriots, and we hate Belichick and Brady. I want to be that team that everyone hates, and when we win, there's riots. That's what I'm hoping for. And if nothing else, this continued discourse, like, oh my God, these quotes from the league. Anytime we have this situation, we're in short yardage, we know we want to make sure we officiate these plays. The offensive team has to be perfect in every aspect. That's the vice president of officiating, Ramon George, said to the Washington freaking Post. We want to officiate it tight. We want to be black and white and be as tight as we can when we get into this situation where teams are in the bunch position and we have to officiate them being onside, movement early, prior to the snap, things like that. And my God, over a 1-yard play, like a pass interference play can be 45 yards, and it's like, yeah, we even tried challenging these, and it's kind of just made up, so whatever the ref says goes. But this single yard, this is the most important thing for the officials to get right. Not that there's holding on every single play. Not that roughing the passer is, if the quarterback looks at the official, he's out of fear throwing flags. It's simply this 1-yard play. It drives me insane, but I also love it because there's nothing they can do about it.
People hate they're playing for the 4th and 1. That's literally what it comes down to at the end of the day.
That's as if it's actually 1st and 9, and the entire strategy is to get to the tush push. Like, that's how it's being talked about right now. I've never seen anything like it. All right, coming up on the other side, we're going to hit some social studies, some things I saw on social media today. I have a People Are Strange story. We're going to get our predictions in, but right now, we got to take our first commercial break. It's time to tell you about Cherry Hill Kia, because if you're looking for the dealership with the most inventory and super low lease payments in the Philadelphia area, Kia of Cherry Hill and KiaofCherryHill.com is the place to go. You can choose from over 450 new Kias, including Telluride, Sportages, K5s, Carnivals, Celtos, and those Souls. You know I think those Souls are cool as hell, man. And I've got to tell you, Kia is the hottest automotive brand in the country for a reason. 7 of their models received 2025 Car and Driver Editor's Choice Awards. 450 models were tested. 20 received this award. 7 of the 20, over a third, were Kias. If that doesn't tell you all you need to know, I don't know what will. You combine that with the best warranty in the automotive business. 10 years, 100,000-mile powertrain, 5 years, 60,000-mile bumper-to-bumper. It doesn't get better than Cherry Hill Kia. So stop in today and tell them PHLY sent you and receive a $100 Restaurant.com gift card just for taking a test drive or completing a trade appraisal. I know people buy Kias elsewhere. I just don't know why. Drive home in your new Kia today. Just minutes from all bridges are available online 24/7 at KiaofCherryHill.com. And while we're here, I got to tell you about Xfinity. That's right. It's our friends at Xfinity. We are, of course, coming to you live from the Xfinity Lounge. It is a great sponsor here of our studio, but also it is the ultimate destination for sports fans. There's no better way to watch a game than on Xfinity. Whether you're streaming on the Wi-Fi or you have Xfinity cable, it is just the absolute best. There's no lagging, there's no buffering, there's no switching between apps to find all your favorite games. You get the best teams and all your favorite games right in your living room. It's the best viewing experience, 4K picture and sound. It doesn't get any better than that. And you even get live updates and stats right on your TV screen. So next game day, make sure your fan experience isn't a fail experience. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box. All right, let's hit some social studies, Bree, because this is something I saw in a couple of places today, and it's one of those, I don't know how serious it is, but listen, as we saw last night, the Dolphins freaking stink. Like, they're 0-3. They missed the playoffs last year. There's unrest amongst, their star receiver. Their quarterback is basically one hit away from becoming Reggie Ray from Not Another Teen Movie. Like, I hate to joke about it, but it's going poorly for him. I see the possibility of Mike McDaniel getting let go and thinking, maybe he's not a head coach. Maybe he's just not that guy. But it's not as if he hasn't had a ton of success as an offensive coordinator. And the idea of maybe making him the Eagles' next OC has come up now. I'm not trying to fire Kevin Patullo after 2 or 3 weeks. I think that's insane. I mean, just first of all, for continuity's sake, can we just give Jalen Hurts a few weeks with the same guy? Like, he's on his 9th offensive coordinator in 9 years or whatever it is. Maybe just a few weeks with the same guy will ultimately pay off. But I can't turn down the idea of him somehow coming on to the coaching staff in some way, just because I really, really liked the idea of what his offense was when he was leaving San Francisco and going to Miami. And we did see early results there. Maybe an outside voice as an offensive assistant, an offensive consultant, something like that, isn't the worst idea in the world. Also, he's just funny as hell. Like, when he was leaving San Fran, I would have been like, absolutely yes, 100%. Bring him in as the head coach, bring him in as the OC, bring him in to play swoop, whatever it is. I was a big Mike McDaniel fan. These days, though, like, maybe he hasn't really, maybe it's that Chip Kelly thing where his idea is right, But once, you have your success and then the league adapts, it's now on you to adapt again. And he hasn't really hit that part. Listen, maybe Tyreek Hill is just a dick and doesn't really care all that much. Not out of the realm of possibility. But when he has his best game of the year and it's like 5 for 50, this guy is one of the greatest big play threats you ever seen. And that's just not who he is. You have to wonder, maybe McDaniels lost some of that special sauce, but I'm not totally against the idea of bringing in McDaniel. And maybe it's just the stoner vibes he has. I just appreciate him because he's funny as hell. But I'm not trying to fire Kevin Patullo, but I wouldn't mind an outside voice coming in and being like, this is what I see, maybe to get this passing game going a little bit. Do you think that's just nuts, Bree?
No, I feel like I can't really comment on that, but I don't know. I have no comment. I'll just agree with what you said. Look, I mean, dolphins are poo-poo caca. That's it. At the end of the day,
that's really what it comes down to.
That's what it comes down to.
Is like, you see they have Tyreek, you see they have Jalen Waddle, and it's not really working. How much of a benefit could bringing him in really have? And then you have so our offensive coordinator has to be looking over his shoulder sort of situation. So I guess I'm against it, but it is a little enticing just because a few years ago, I would have been all about it. But right now, you see what's going on in Miami, and it's, all right, not only is the offense not what it used to be, but he doesn't seem like much of a leader. So I guess today's social studies lesson is, let's just leave well enough alone and see if this group can figure it out on their own. All right, I have a People Are Strange story I want to get to before we hit our next break. We still have to do predictions. We still have some Matt's Hates Morning complaining to do. But let's hit the People Are Strange story because I have no freaking idea what Labubus are. And listen, like I said, I turned 37 in a week. I shouldn't. But apparently, they're so important that a woman in Russia sold her soul for 100,000 rubles, roughly like $1,200, so that she could spend a ton of money on these things and a concert ticket. I had to know what the concert ticket was. It wasn't anything all that interesting. Some Russian folk singer, Nadezhda Kadasheva. I bet they're great. Not too plugged into the Russian folk scene. But what the hell are these things that I just keep seeing them? And like the millennial that I am, I see all TikTok things on Instagram 2 weeks later. So maybe the fad is already over, but they keep popping up in my reels and people carrying them around, and I just see the Labubu thing everywhere. I don't know what it is.
It's a phenomena. I don't know. I don't know either. Like, I'm not collecting any of them. I guess I should be thankful for that. I don't even think the fad is dying. I thought it was, but it's just bigger now because all of like the young kids, like young as in like elementary school kids, are like fiending for it. Like, it's insane. I mean, I'm going to pull this picture back up. It looks like it took her soul at this point. Like, look at it.
Well, I guess so if you're going to buy a $1,000 collection of these things, you're not too worried about what's going to happen to your soul.
No,
because you just look at this thing and it's horrifying. My wife has compared them to like Furbies and stuff to try to explain it to me. But like Furbies did things. They were weird. They were creepy as hell, but they like blinked and talked or moved or something. I don't remember. But I simply don't understand what these things are. And honestly, they scare me. And the fact that someone is willing to sell their soul for them, I think they should scare everybody. She's not too worried about it. She said, I don't care what the guy does with my soul. It was which is very, very funny. It started, I guess, as a joke from marketing expert Dmitry on the Russian social network Telegram. He put out an offer, say, I'll pay 1,000 rubles, again, about $1,200, to whoever agrees to sell their soul. The signing, there was a contract signing that included, I guess, signing it in blood. And this woman was able to get her 100,000 rubles and then go on to acquire this. But Dear God, this is the state of things. Like, I'm going to complain about the cost of haircuts later, but we're signing away our soul so that we can have hobbies. I guess that's the state of the world now. To go to a concert and have a couple of Beanie Babies, you need to sell your soul. That appears to be what's happening. All right. We still have our predictions to get to, and Tyler, even though he's not here today, he shared some thoughts. You might want to hear him. But first, we have to take our next commercial break. All right, it is time to tell you about our friends over at Parx Casino, because whether your favorite team wins or not, there's always another way to win on the BetParx online casino app. You got to check out their newest games like Huff and More Puff and Fireblaze Sky Queen. It's the only app I use to play all my favorite casino games right in the palm of my hand. And when I say all my favorite games, I mean it. I'm talking blackjack, I'm talking roulette, craps, poker, baccarat, and even some slots like Cash Eruption and 88 Fortunes. They also have slots based on your favorite streaming shows like Peaky Blinders, The Walking Dead, Squid Game, and now, right now, new users get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. So go to betparx.com and download the app right now to enjoy all the action and excitement right at your fingertips. You must be 21 and in PA, Jersey, Maryland, or Michigan for BetParx. You love to play. You play to win. You bet. BetParx. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And while we're here, it is time to tell you about Ace Hardware, because if you have an outlet you said you'd fix last summer, if your air conditioner, it's like, we can get through. No, it's like 90 today. The summer weather isn't going anywhere. One more YouTube tutorial isn't going to turn you into an HVAC repairman. One more YouTube tutorial isn't going to turn you into an electrician. You got to call the experts at Ace Hardware, because now not only does Ace Hardware have all the tools and hardware you need to get the job done, they have the person for the job as well. From plumbing and electrical to heating and cooling, they've got the trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. I had a problem with my air conditioner last year, thought I was going to have to get a whole new system, looking at spending of thousands of dollars. Turned out to cost about $25 to fix it. A little bit of labor, a little bit for the part, and boom, Ace had my AC running better than when I bought the freaking house. They can do the same for you. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. All right, I want to make sure we get to our Eagles predictions today, and it's Friday, and if longtime listeners, you know on Fridays on PHLY Flyers, there ain't no overtime. So we're going to try to get this thing wrapped. My prediction for the Eagles game, and then we will get to Tyler's and Tyler's notes, because it's going to be a little controversial. I am going to pick the Birds to win this one at home against a division rival. I think it's a big one. They are averaging, 900 yards on the ground the last couple of times they've played this team. Saquon yet to break out. I think he does that. And if they really want to load up to stop the run, maybe we finally get A.J. Brown making some plays down the field and getting more involved in that way for the first time this season. I am going to take the Eagles 27-24. I do think it's going to be close. I think a big Jake Elliott kick, maybe at the half, or maybe as time expires or late in the fourth quarter, could be the difference here. Jake has been the most dangerous offensive weapon this team has outside of the tush push. So I am going to go with the Birds. But Tyler is going Rams. He has 24-21 Rams. He says he thinks the Eagles get everything they want on the ground. Barkley goes for 100+. He gets some of his big plays. But McVay will force the Eagles to decide if they want to allow Adoree Jackson on an island with Adams or to shift into base and force Cooper DeJean to shade. Could lead to some really good matchups that for the Rams that worry him about this game. Devontae Adams could do damage. And he says he thinks the Eagles split the next two, and maybe, just maybe, this will get them that tiny bit extra motivated to finally go to Tampa and get a win. So he's taking the he is taking the Rams 24-21. I am going 27-24 Eagles. Bree, you got to break the tie.
Sorry, my mic was stuck.
That mic has been a problem.
Yeah, you know what? I will never go against the team I'm rooting for, so I'm going to have to take the Eagles, but let me see. If I got to put $1 on correct score, I'll go 24-17.
24-17. I like it. Nice defensive effort for the Birds. It's not as if the defense has been lacking thus far. All right, now it is time for the 3 stars of the week. My 3rd star this week is the 2-part documentary I watched over the weekend, a.k.a. Charlie Sheen, and it was exactly what I expected. Some wild stories about drugs and sex in Hollywood, and you just revisit a time when Charlie Sheen and his public meltdown, his feud with 2.5 Men and Chuck Lorre and that whole thing was the biggest freaking story in the world, and all the chapters of his life where he screwed up, something happened, maybe he ends up in rehab, and then there actually are no consequences. He comes out and boom, he's got an even bigger project waiting for him. It's really, really a fine way to spend a couple of hours. Now, I do have a little bit of a problem, like taking Charlie Sheen's word on some things simply because, I don't know, maybe it was going to high school during the opioid epidemic. I'm never going to just totally trust everything out of a person who is bragging about smoking 7-gram crack rock's mouth. Like, yeah, maybe I'm going to take this with a grain of salt, but just for entertainment value alone, a.k.a. Charlie Sheen on Netflix, well worth a couple of hours. Maybe you don't feel like watching some college football. Maybe you're in for inclement weather for some reason. This is a nice way to spend a little Saturday evening or afternoon. Coming in at number 2, star number 2, I have to give it. I know this man is maybe not the most beloved in all of Philadelphia, but I got to give it to Joe Buck for his comments about the tush push. He is making a little bit of a face turn for me right now. Joe Buck, today, I believe, this morning, and our PHLY Eagles put this video out on Twitter so we can maybe catch what Joe actually said about the tush push.
Can you make the argument for banning the push-tush?
No. No, I can't. I mean, you know, as the league says, and as the Eagles say, stop it. Figure out a way to stop it. And nobody's figured out a way to do it. Or figure out a way to do it. And the difference is the Eagles have a quarterback that's running that can squat over 600 pounds. So they took advantage of a guy that's on their team that can do it, and nobody can stop it. So too bad.
Over 600.
See, that's I love that Joe Buck has kind of taken on. He's really loosened up a lot recently. I saw him one of the days I went to the Jason Kelce show right over here at the Union Transfer. He was one of the guests, and he is very funny. He knows what Philadelphia thinks of him. And I do have a theory that, while, yeah, during like the 08 playoffs and especially his World Series call were not good, he has just gotten a lot better over the years. I do think we treat Joe Buck a little unfairly sometimes because he's been the number 1 NFC guy for a while, and at least for Eagles fans my age, what did they always lose? The NFC title game. So it was just always the other team kicking the crap out of the Eagles between the Bucs and the Panthers. They lose 27-10 and 14-3. It's not like there was a bunch of good stuff to say about the Eagles, and we've kind of taken that out on Joe Buck. But it was really his cameos on Brockmeyer that did it for me. Joe Buck, maybe not quite as bad as we've given it to him, but the number 1 star this week, I got to give it, you know I'm a hockey guy, I got to give it to the NHL. I love the NHL for treating the preseason like the joke it is. Sunday is the first Flyers preseason game. It's at the Islanders, so a lot of times the home ones aren't on. I can't find broadcast info for this game anywhere. The Flyers are playing, and as all NHL teams are, 7 preseason games this year. There is local broadcast information for 3 of them, and the preseason starts Sunday. I wish the NHL presented itself as a major league most of the time. Of course I do. It's kind of my bread and butter, the NHL. But as someone who's going to do 80 regular season pre- and post games this year, I got to say, missing a few preseasons when it's going to be a ton of phantoms and camp invitees in the lineup, that's A-okay with me. And for treating the preseason like a joke, the NHL is the number 1 star this week. And that is all the time we have on Philadelphia for you this week. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't already, consider donating to the Big Brothers and Big Sisters. It's Big Brothers, Big Sisters month here at PHLY and all across the All-City Network. There is a link to donate right below the chat box, so you can do it there. Make sure you're following us here on the PHLY YouTube page. Follow me on Twitter at Philadelphia PHLY. On Twitter, I'm also on Blue Sky and Instagram if you can find it. Don't know what my name is there. And follow the podcast. We got to pump up these podcast numbers, fam. So follow me there. Search Philadelphia. That's it. Thank you to my producer, Bree. I am Bill Matz. Till next time, go Birds.
We all silly like the mayor.